Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back once again to Fat Cat Collections. Today I got another watch today by Duxot. Now, there is a little bit of a confusion on how you actually say Duxot. Just like Nubeo, some folks say Nubio, some folks say Nubeo. I think it has a lot to do with what part of the world you live in. I've been saying Duxot, but I've been corrected a few times. The company has never come out and said it's actually pronounced Duxot. So the way I kind of figure, if the company's not going to come out and correct me, why should I make any changes for the rest of the world, right? So I'm going to continue on saying Duxot until Duxot actually comes out and says, actually, it's Duxot. So nevertheless, got another one for you guys today. And this is their Accelerio, and let's check it out. Now, this is not going to be a cup of tea for everybody because you do have those blinged out, iced out stones around the bezel. Really dig this piece. I love whenever Duxot comes out with watches with nice bezel. And in all honesty, of all the watch brands out there that I can think of, they are really kind of in their own lane for coming out with affordable, I don't know what kind of, if this is a gemstone, it's probably some kind of glass of some sort, some kind of crystal. They're one of the few brands that actually makes nice quality men's watches with that iced out look. A lot of brands, if you're going to go into that kind of lane of crystal or iced watches, you're going to pay a lot more because in a lot of cases you are getting genuine gemstones or you are getting diamonds or some kind of, rubies or emeralds, gemstones of some sort, which drive the cost of the watch up considerably. Now, you can find some on sites like AliExpress and, even Temu, but I find that the quality of most of the iced out watches that I've seen just isn't on par with what you're going to get with a brand like Duxot. So we're going to go and check this out. I'm going to talk a little bit about this features, and we'll just see if it's a watch you might want to add to your collection. Absolutely love it. There is another color variation on this, which they did not send me, so I have to keep hammering them because it is really beautiful. And again, anytime they come out with something with crystals, I'm always looking to add a different color combination to my collection. So this is actually, my sister pointed out, kind of like almost Seahawks inspired, right? If you're a Seahawks fan, I'm not really a football fan at all, but I guess green and blue are their colors. So you Seahawks folks, this is the watch for you. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the camera around and talk about this watch under more of a close-up setting so you can get an idea what it looks like under a much closer 4K resolution. All right, here we go. All right, folks, so here we go. So this, again, is the Duxot Accelerio. Very similar to a lot of the watches that I have reviewed by Duxot when we're looking at these. Well, I say this kind of loosely, but these more of Submariner style watches. This I don't think is a homage to a Submariner. It's doing kind of its own thing. But anytime that, the world we live in and the way people describe anything nowadays, it's once somebody starts saying something, it almost just becomes fact. And so, I don't believe that any watch that has a standard case diameter like this, and we're going to get to that, and then of course a crown, and then of course a bezel, and the ability to tell time in a 3-link bracelet is necessarily a homage to any Rolex. Let's face it, Rolex watches are basic watches, just like many, many brands out there. Not knocking the brand at all, but just because we have a round watch with a 3-link bracelet does not make it a homage to any kind of Submariner, right? Now, I don't know, that's not the company's stance on this. They don't, tell me whether they're going to, they don't specifically list whether something is a copy of something or a homage. But in this case, we're just going to call it its own thing, right? So what do you get with this? So you get a 40 millimeter case diameter, which is rather small for a lot of the watches that I prefer to wear. I'd much rather see this in a 44 or a 45 for something of this design. But nevertheless, it still is going to get wrist time on my wrist. I always enjoy, again, with these really blinged out, iced out crystals. I think anytime you have a watch that's a lot smaller like this, let's face it, let's be real. If you do like the attention a watch gets you, and I'm not saying that's the reason you should wear a watch, but I always do like when somebody does notice my watch, not because the perception of that I have money or anything like that. It's just, when we're into things, it's just like driving a cool car, whatever car you drive. Somebody does find it interesting. I actually bumped into an old buddy out at the casino the other night, and he was like, "Oh, dude, you were a big influence in my life." And I'm a little bit older than him, and I just found it just interesting because I don't really, consider myself really a role model for anybody other than the fact that I'm a decent person, right? That's, I think my biggest quality is that I'm a good man, right? But there's lots of good men out there. Lots of people have, good upbringings. But I did find it interesting, but I guess people are kind of I don't want to say trendsetters, but, you know, a lot of times you do meet people in your life who, you know, you might like their style and you might emulate that. And so I do find that a huge compliment, right? And he was just talking about, you know, one of my vehicles, my Honda. And he's like, oh, dude, if you ever sell it, I can't believe you still have it. It's just interesting. He's got a really expensive Range Rover, right? So it's just really interesting that, you know, it's not always about cost. It's not always about how fast something is or how much, you know, somebody paid or, you know, or the perception of what people have. It's just sometimes you like things based on what you like. And that's the reason why after all these years, I still have the car, right? I still enjoy it as much as I got it, you know, much as when I got it. It's part of me, right? And that I kind of take care of all things that I've spent my money on, right? You take care of it, usually it'll last you forever. And so I kind of compare something like this. I do find that it is cool when somebody says, oh man, that car was legendary. You know, I still love that car. And I feel like with a watch, I do enjoy when somebody says, oh dude, that's a really cool watch, you know, and like he complimented my Nubeo the other night. And so it's just interesting for people who aren't really into watches for say, to notice it and just be like, and to appreciate it for its design, for its style, and what kind of style you're bringing to the table, how you're expressing yourself, as opposed to, oh man, that Rolex was 15 grand. Wow. You know, it's like, that's not the reason I wear watches. So something like this, I love this because this is definitely going to get noticed. Somebody's going to notice, you know, the stones on it. So I think for taking a small watch like this, and adding some pizzazz, it's right up my alley. Not for everybody. You know, if this watch was just a standard stainless bezel, it would look like every other, you know, standard 40 millimeter watches out there, right? Nothing really to set it apart. But I think Duxot really is doing a great job with a lot of their watches in doing the crystal bezel because there's not a lot of options out there if you want this kind of look for a great price that's going to give you this kind of quality. So kudos to them. I mean, it's fantastic. I don't even know if they really meant to do that because they do make watches without the crystal bezel, but I think they should really focus on doing more high quality iced out watches like this. Also, what else? This has got that green mother of pearl. You don't see a lot of green mother of pearl. Very cool. We have all 316 stainless steel. So now we're going to move on to, I think I talked enough about how cool the watch looks. Let's move on. Man, this glove has seen better days. Let's move on to, again, the specification. So one negative thing I have to say about this, when I first got it, I thought it was a fake chronograph, right? I didn't really dive into it and look at it all that much. I just sized it, slapped it on the wrist, started wearing it. So you do have a screw down crown, but you do have screw down function pushers, and these were so tight, I thought they were fake. So if you do buy one of these, and again, link is in the description with my coupon code, get them while you can. Duxots usually sell out. When you get this, be gentle. Put a little bit of a cloth on this and grab it with a plier if you can't turn it. And just it came extremely tight, tighter than I could actually turn with my you know, without using a plier or something like that. So just kind of keep that in mind. It is actually a chronograph, and this is powered by a Mecha quartz. And for those who don't know, and this one here does not, as most of the Dartmouth watches, they do not list which movement is in this watch, which is a really annoying to me because I've been mentioning this for years now, and they just don't seem to care, in all honesty, about putting one of the most important features of this watch on their website. So, but they do use good quality movements. A lot of times they are Seiko NH35s, 34s. They are Miyotas a lot of times. So this one is a Japanese Mecha quartz, and I believe it's most likely, I think it's the VD63. I don't remember exactly which one, but it's one of the most common Seiko branded hybrid Mecha quartz movements. If those who are wondering what a Mecha quartz movement is, it's a hybrid movement, and this is directly off just a website here. It's a hybrid movement that combines mechanical and quartz technologies. In other words, it's a watch with a Mecha quartz movement consisting of two different mechanisms. So it says in many cases, Mecha quartz movements are used to drive a chronograph. The timekeeping function is controlled by a quartz movement, whereas a stopwatch feature, which is what a chronograph is controlled and managed by mechanical components. So to me, I don't really know, I don't really see what the real pizzazz is. The idea is that you get you would have a watch with the accuracy of a reliable quartz movement, or quartz watch with the intricacy of mechanical elements. But in all honesty, who cares, right? If it's telling time reasonably well, what's the real point of having the mechanical components, you know. I think that's more of like a selling thing, more of just say, hey, we did it. This is kind of our own design movement than actually, you know, having any real value. When you look at something like a Bullet Precisionist, it's all quartz. I don't believe that's mecha quartz. You know, it's what's the difference? It tells time amazing. It's super accurate. The chronograph's super accurate. So, you know, I think if you're going to go with an automatic movement, go with an automatic movement. If you're going to go with the quartz, go to quartz. But nevertheless, the mecha quartz being used in this watch, and I believe it is I think it's the Seiko VD 63. I'm not saying that's in this, but I'm saying that's one of the most common mecha quartz movements used on right now. Super well respected, very reliable. You know, and also keep in mind the affordability if you start looking at what a mechanical chronograph costs, you start getting involved in, you know, Valjoux 7750 movements, and that just really kicks the price of the watch up considerably. And the movement I was trying to remember here is a Seiko VK64. Now, I don't know, again, don't quote me on that, but being that it is the most common mecha quartz movement that I've seen out there, this probably has that. But if you are going to make a purchase and you absolutely have to know before pulling the trigger on that, let me know and I can get you an answer on that one way or another. So, so again, basically a chronograph is a stopwatch, and how this one works, you press the top. Whoops, let me unscrew this now that it's loose. Unscrew the lower function pusher. You just basically press the top function pusher. That activates the stopwatch. You can see it moving. And of course, you want to pause it. You press it again. If you want to reset it, you hit the second function pusher, and that'll snap back to 12. I think depending on where that second hand is will determine which way it snaps back. Of course, you have the other dials here for tracking time. And then, of course, screw down crown, screw down function pushers. It is a non-rotating bezel. I'm glad it's not rotating because it keeps everything lined up really nice here. No reason to have a rotating bezel like this. There's no point to that. Again, 3/16 stainless steel. Nice clasp on it, milled clasp. Nice dual push button deploying clasp. I like this style clasp more than some of the other Duxot watches they use where they're trying to like kind of duplicate the oyster style bracelet. This one here I think is much more reliable. I don't like the other ones as much as this. Screw on case back with the Duxot logo on it. Hopefully you can see that there. This one here has friction pins for the links. Again, standard 3-link bracelet with polished center links, polished sides of the case, polished edges of the bezel. And again, those crystals are what really makes the watch. We have that green, kind of broken up with, I like that they did the clear stone. These are like baguette stones. I like that they put one of those stones on each indice location. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way around to 12. Very cool. Very, very cool watch. Totally dig this. Again, what really makes it for me is that green mother of pearl and those awesome iced out stones. What else about this one here? As far as the name of it, they call it the pearl green. Again, 48 millimeter lug to lug, 12 millimeters in case thickness. You have a signed crown, which I mention this because it's kind of industry standard when reviewing watches, but most watches have a signed crown. Most watches have branding on the face under the 12. Most watches have branding on the clasp and case back. That is standard. I know some of the whiners out there, if it dare said Duxot on the side, would be crying to their mom about how there's too much branding, I have to sand it off. It's just ridiculous. But applied indexes, sapphire lens on this, so you're getting the top tier crystal, although in my personal opinion, it makes no difference unless you're super abusive to your watches. I've never scratched any crystal. You have 10 ATMs of water resistance, 20 millimeter stainless steel bracelet with full door safety clasp. And what else? That's really about it. Standard Duxot box. I don't even show it anymore. It's just your red cardboard box. I'm glad they keep it simple. They keep it small. Box to me, meaningless, right? So is there anything I don't like about it? Not really. They do have a couple different color options. They have the full rainbow, which is nice. They do have this one here, the pearl green. They have a Pepsi blue and red, which I thought I requested and did not get. Then they have the rose gold, which is sold out at the moment, which I do think is a great looking piece. It's got like a black mother of pearl with that rainbow bezel. But arguably my favorite one is the pearl red. And this actually has black stones across the lower portion of the face or bezel, and then like a fire orange with a red mother of pearl face. I think it is the best color because I've never seen it done on any other brand, although I've never seen this color combination done either. So I hope to get my hands on that. Sometimes when I request watches, they send me They don't always send me like multiple colors at the same time, but then when I reach back out, they'll send them. I think they don't want to send it sometimes because they might think that's going to be a super popular color and they just want to maximize profit. But that's okay, I get it, you know. But this is a fantastic piece, and without further ado, I think it's time to throw it on the wrist and show you guys what it looks like on a guy my size, my height, my weight. Okay. Okay, well, there you have it, folks. Without further ado, let's slap it on the wrist. Now, again, as mentioned in almost every video I've ever put up on YouTube, I have a 7-inch wrist. I weigh about 183 pounds, and I'm 5'8". Throw on some dope cowboy boots. I'm about 5'10". So this is what it's going to look like on a guy my size. Now, I say this because it's good to kind of have that as a reference, because I believe anybody can wear... Check that out. I believe anybody can wear anything, right? But some guys are like, oh, I'm too big for a small watch. I'm too small for a big watch. You can wear whatever you want. And my goal here is not to be conceited or cocky, but my goal is that if you look at me and you see what it looks like on me, you might say, you know what, I can picture myself wearing that, and then you'll get one, and you'll be super happy with it. I did remove about 5 links on this, and this, when I put it on this morning, was a little tight. I think I'm going to add a link back and then use the 3 micro adjustments here. I don't like it when a watch is this size a little too tight because your body is going to kind of swell a little bit. Sometimes you're more hydrated. Sometimes you're more hydrated. Sometimes you're dehydrated. So again, that's going to change. So we just got to kind of size that up. Check it out. And you can see, you know, I know a lot of times we, you know, especially with the Invicta guys, you might say, oh my God, it's so small. But look at what the bezel does to the wrist presence on that. You know, that's what really makes the watch. I totally get it. If this watch just had a standard bezel, there's nothing that really separates it because there's so many people making watches that look like this. I really like that Duxot, again, is moving into, rather than just putting a no-name quartz movement, they're putting that mecha quartz. Sure, they could have done automatic, but they probably putting automatic probably drives the price up a little bit. I'm not 100% sure, but they want to do a chronograph, and they do make these watches in automatic versions that are very similar. I think I forget which exact model they are, but again, the link is in the description. You can check them out. But this color variation is absolutely exceptional. I just can't say enough positive things about the fact this company is making great quality iced out bezel watches that you'd be hard pressed to find something like this anywhere. And in the world of watches, I mean, that says a lot, right? There are so many different brands out there, so many different companies making watches that, you know, a lot of times they're a dime a dozen. If you want to look for like a Submariner style, and I know I'm saying that because it is kind of similar, right? It's your 3-link bracelet, standard size. If you go to sites like AliExpress, you go to sites like eBay, you know, Amazon, you're going to find plenty of different brands, whether it's by Pagani, you know, Addy's Dive, you name it. They're out there, but you'd be hard-pressed to find a green and blue iced out bezel watch anywhere on earth that is not something either custom made or something extremely expensive, right? So it's great. I think they're doing a great job, and I really hope they do more color variations. I'd really like to see some maybe baby pink, baby blue stones, maybe a combination of pink and black. I mean, you know, this isn't rocket science. You pick a color, you can create it, but I think it would do really well because that's what really makes these watches unique. Now, price on these, $270 right now. I think my coupon code will work on top of that, so do use it. But $270, you know, that's, I think anytime, in all honesty, you know, anytime you're under $300 for a good quality watch, again, with my check boxes, stainless steel, crystal, movement, and, you know, build quality, you're getting, that's like 90% of most watches on the market. Like, do you need to put it under macro lens and look at the logo to make sure it's perfect? You know, then you go buy a Rolex, right? And then you'll probably be disappointed anyway. So ultimately, you're getting a lot of bang for buck, and anytime these watches are under $300, I think it's a very fair price. Pick it up, get it, enjoy it, let me know what you think. As always, folks, thanks for watching. You folks have a fantastic day, and take care.